On October 17th, 2012, I had to be at the doctor's office that morning around 9 o'clock. And I went in and they did my physical, had to do EKG, and the last thing they had to do was draw my blood to check my cholesterol. I was sitting on the examining table. The lady come in to draw my blood. She came in, we spoke a little bit. She told me what she was gonna do. She started to draw my blood, and as she was drawing my blood, I had real excruciating pain up my left side. And I told her that there was something going on. Instead of her stopping the draw, she kept drawing the blood. And when I turned back around, the last thing I remember was just sitting there, but the next thing I knew, I was on the floor.
I got a phone call from the doctor's office saying that Cris had a laceration on his nose, that they needed to send him to the hospital to be addressed. Exact words. And so I got in my car, drove to the hospital, stood outside the emergency room, waiting, no ambulance. Went in to check to see if he'd arrived. Wasn't there. A few minutes later, get another phone call from the EMT worker asking me if I know where Atlanta Medical Center is. We're taking your husband to Atlanta Medical Center. And I said, why? And she said, did they tell you what happened? I said, all I know is he has a laceration on his nose that needs to be taken care of. And she said, no, ma'am. Your husband can't move his arms or his legs. We're taking him to Atlanta Medical Center. Do you know how to get there?
I learned this later on, that I had fractured C5 and 6 in my neck and pinched my spinal cord, and I broke my nose in 2 different places. And so they came in and they did a log roll on me to get me over. When I came to, I couldn't feel my arms or legs.
They basically told me that he had sprained his neck, and me being the non-medical, naive person I am, I associated with a sprained ankle or a sprained wrist, and I'm thinking a couple days we'll be fine. And then about the 3rd day in, they started talking about that he's gonna have to go somewhere to rehab. And that's when it hit home. I knew it was gonna be a long journey. They took Cris out of the room to go to the CT scan, and my son, that is 6'2", towers over me, hits his knees, and starts crying like a baby. It's a hard thing to swallow. It's a hard thing to swallow, and that's literally when you just go, okay, Lord, there's nothing I can do. You gotta take care of it. And he did. Still is. Had different people come to us from different facilities, and one of them was Shepherd Center. And this was on a Friday. They were gonna discharge him on Monday. And I looked at Cris and I said, I don't know where you're gonna go. I don't know who's gonna have an opening. I said, but you're going to Shepherd Center because God wants only the best for his children. And on Sunday afternoon, we got a phone call from the Shepherd Center representative saying that there was a spot and he was gonna be able to go there. So we know it was the Lord taking care of things.
Oh yeah.
We had cards sent from members of East Ridge that literally lined the walls in his room. We had people visiting. We know people were praying. And even after we left Shepherd Center, there was a couple years that we just financially did not know how things were gonna work. And we never went without anything.
I think the prayers that came into us and the cards that I would get sent through the mail, a lot of times had resources in them to help us. And I used to tell my wife about the cards along the wall. We'd get the cards and we'd put them all the way around the edge of the wall. And I'd tell her, I'd say, the story of in the Bible where the lame man is lowered down through the ceiling, and they just know if they could get him close to Jesus, that he would be healed. And I said, them cards around the wall is my 3 men, and they're lowering me down, and they're getting me closer to Jesus with all these prayers that are coming in with them cards. And I said, that's what's going to heal me. And to this day, no, I can't walk normal without arm crutches or a walker. I can't walk very far at all. But God has really brought me a long ways, and He worked through the Shepherd Center to do that.
I don't know that I know our life is not going to go back to the way it was, and we've both accepted that. But it's always going to be a dependence. We're not ever going to have our new normal completely figured out. But we're okay with that. It's okay. We get to spend more time together. We truly understand what people say, that when you're retired, you're around your spouse 24/7, how it's not easy. It's gotten much better than it was. But we're starting to see the joy in things. We're starting to see the joy, and that is a relief in itself. Because when you focus on what's hard, it makes things harder. So we're learning to focus on the good things.
The good Lord's opened up doors for us. He's opened up doors for us to help people. We have resources now that we can, we keep gift cards that we buy, and she'll keep them in her pocketbook. And when we see someone that looks like that they need help, we got the opportunity to give it to them, and so they can have a meal or whatever they might need to do with it to help. But God's opened the doors a lot more for us now, and He's got our attentions to know that that's who we need to turn to.